Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 5th Design Review Board meeting. First up is roll call.
Board Member Odorcio.
Here.
Board Member Kim.
Here.
Vice Chair Rosner.
Here.
Chair Chong.
Here.
And Board Member Holscher is absent.
All right, thank you. Now is a chance for any oral communications by the public for any items that are not on this evening's Design Review Board agenda. So if you have anything to address the board about for items not on tonight's agenda, if you could come forward, or if you're on the Zoom call, use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen and we'll let you into the room. What's that? Yeah, this is for any items not on this evening's agenda. So Southridge is on this evening's agenda. What's that? The Zoom it's not video, or it's just like we basically have it here. But if there's anybody that's raised their hand.
There are no hands raised on the Zoom audience.
Okay, thanks. So now staff briefing.
I have nothing to report.
All right, thank you. And then we go to adoption of the minutes from the April 17th Design Review Board meeting.
Should we talk about? Okay.
Yeah. One more meeting. Any let's
adopt the minutes.
Motion to adopt the minutes. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, and we adopt the minutes from April 17th meeting. And now we go to our public hearings. A couple of things. First of all, I'm going to have to recuse myself due to proximity to 1647 and 1651 Tiburon Boulevard, which is PH4, which means Alex, you would take over. So I would propose that we swap those two, basically PH4 and PH5, and we do, the order would then be Straitsview, Southridge, Lyford, Hawthorne, and Tiburon Boulevard. Is there a motion to readjust the minutes or the
Make
agenda?
a motion to switch the order of page 4 and page 5.
All right, and do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. All right, thank you. Which leads us to our public hearing. So before we get started on public hearings, I think there's, I just wanted to address something that was some confusion that had been had around just site visits, just so that both the public and everybody understands kind of how site visits work for the Design Review Board. We definitely encourage Design Review Board members to go out to sites. It helps us understand kind of the project, the plans, provide some perspective on photographs that are sent in as part of the application or as part of late mail. We do try to get out, to see as many either concerned neighbors that have written, in some cases we're invited, in some cases we show up, knock on doors by people that have written letters or something like that. But I just want to make sure that like the Design Review Board is generally encouraged not to state their position when they're at a site visit simply because we want that deliberation and kind of opinion forming to happen as part of this meeting where they can listen to other Design Review Board members' opinions. And so a lot of times that I think causes some neighbors angst around not being able to get a definitive opinion from that Design Review Board member. But again, those are all kind of brought back to here. And we do at least try to get one or more of the Design Review Board members to a applicant's or neighbor's property to give the perspective on like, hey, are the photographs that were submitted, telephoto lenses or wide angle lenses or whatever. And at least as long as one person is able to provide that perspective, it's really helpful to be able to have kind of the live visit. So little background on for those that might have been confused by site visits. So with that, we move to our public hearings. PH1, 1945 Straitsview Drive. The format for this evening and for all of our applications will be the applicant has 20 minutes to present, at which point we might have some questions, but we will open it up to the public after they present. Each member of the public will have 3 minutes to address any concerns they have about the application, concerns or support. And then the applicant is afforded 5 minutes to address any of the concerns that were raised. We'll then close the public hearing, bring it back to the board, and we'll be doing that format for all of the items on this evening's agenda. So with that, Straitsview Drive, if you're ready to come on up and present.
Give us one moment while we get the projector ready. Thank you.
Okay, I guess we're up. Good evening, board members. I'm Alex Seidel. I'm the applicant. I'm actually the property owner and the architect for the project. And I'm joined here tonight by my husband, Raj Sardesh Seidel, who's back there. And as I mentioned last time, this is a residence that my mother, Barbara Seidel, has lived in for approximately 20 years. So what you see on the screen, that's kind of our general neighborhood up in Hillhaven. I imagine that this house is probably one of the earlier houses in Hillhaven, being built around 1950. So we still like the lines of the house. It's a mid-century modern, but it does have some sort of dated characteristics. It needs some updating, and so that's a lot about what this application is about. The application is primarily the addition of a new garage, some moderate reconfiguration inside the house, and then on the right side of the screen you can see approximately 100 square feet that we're proposing to add to the main living area to expand that a bit. That occurs under the existing eaves that project toward the south in front of the house, so not particularly a massing addition. But to bring us back to the previous meeting that we had with you, I think it was the consensus of the board that we should, partly because of the steep topography, try to see what we could do to soften the massing of the project. So that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. It's been kind of a multi-pronged approach. You may call it nipping and tucking, but I think we've been able to accomplish some things that you might find to be improvements. So part of this effort was kind of going back and reviewing my criteria that I had used for the design of the house. I think many of you have been to the site. It's characterized by sort of steep benching on the hillside there. And we're in a way caught between a rock and a hard place. But what I sort of asked myself is, do we need to design the parking area to conventional parking standards? And I've done a lot of conventional parking as an architect in my career. And when I sort of surveyed the vehicles that our whole family uses when we visit the site, we all drive compact cars. We plan to, continue to occupy this property for the long term. And so what we did was study compact turning movements, and that enabled us to reduce the width of the driveway and yet still maintain good operability for the cars that we expect to arrive at the site. For the occasional person who arrives in a Chevy Suburban, I feel like they can park on the street. So here's the overall site plan. You can see the new garage identified in yellow, the driveway in gray. And I'm in the set that you were able to review, I just tried to quantify some of the tweaks that we were able to make to the plan. But we were able to reduce the overall width as it faced Straitsview Drive by a little over 14 feet. We reduced the dimension of the garage to slightly under 20 feet. And that was one of the questions that you folks asked. Correspondingly, we were able to increase the east setback by 5 feet and approximately 5 feet additional setback from the rear property line. So you can see we're like trying to compact the footprint and the massing of the building. The overall floor area reduced by 118 square feet. And because the building's pulling back on the hillside, the height of the garage reduces by 5 feet. So I did include some information in the packet about our neighborhood process, and it's been an ongoing series of conversations with the neighbors. Even after we submitted the package to you, further discussions, I think they've gone reasonably well. But I put this section in because I think one of the things that sometimes it's difficult for people to understand is the entanglement of an ADU with an application for remodel of a house. And this is something that I end up dealing with quite a bit as a planning commissioner in a neighboring community. So I did this section, knowing that the ADU is not part of this approval, but the ADU is in this location, sort of benched into the hill, and the ADU, red ADU, red height and setbacks, and then the garage is blue. So that's part of the primary residence. That's the blue line here. And what I think you can see is that the whole proposal sits reasonably comfortably within the required setbacks and height limits. So this is the west elevation. Again, because this is the uphill side, it's very well below the height constraints. So this is an updated view from Straitsview Drive. You can see the ADU height limit and then the higher limit for the primary residence. We're below all of that. I actually want to go back. There's one other component that haven't really discussed yet. So one of the things we realized in designing the project is that when the cul-de-sac for Straitsview was built here, in a much earlier time, before things were very formal, the cul-de-sac actually comes about 5 feet onto our property. And so talking to the Department of Public Works, I realized that we could actually create a landscape area here that would extend the sense of landscape between the total structure and the street. And I think that was one of the things that maybe surprised all of us, including me, is that we weren't getting the full sense of the setback because the cul-de-sac actually sort of bleeds onto the property. So with the permission of Department of Public Works, we could put this planter down there and propose to do some tree planting that would provide a nice screen from Straitsview Drive for the project. So in this elevation, you can see the 6 olive trees that we're proposing to plant there. And this planter at the bottom is kind of important because if we're going to do that, because the slope is so steep there, I'm pretty sure it was excavated at some point, that I don't think we could successfully plant a tree, in these locations. So we're thinking that will create a nice layering effect as viewed from Straitsview Drive. Just another section through the project showing how it will terrace down, kind of following the contours. And we took it right across the street. You can see the planter here with the olive trees. There's also olive trees between us and the uphill neighbor. And incidentally, This shows the retaining wall to the uphill neighbor. Retaining walls are pretty prevalent and necessary in this neighborhood to develop these properties. This is our downhill neighbor at 1970 with his carport and his house and the existing vegetation in this location. This is actually photographic. There's no visual connection between these two residences, but we still want to present, obviously, a nice aspect to Straits View Drive. And finally, this is my last slide. This gives you a three-dimensional presentation. Now you can see that the project has been broken into a series of offset planes terracing down the hill, the olive trees kind of working their way up the hill around the house. And these are the existing olive trees between us and the next neighbor. So I think of it almost as a garland of olives around the house. There was one comment from board member Kim. I think you were channeling Miles Berger, who you thought would like to have a podium perhaps. And the previous scheme had a uniform material around the foundation. And I thought that that was a good idea. So we're suggesting that the foundation wall, which is now shorter than it was before, could be board form concrete. So you can sort of see that peeking out behind the olives and give a little material variation to the project. I think I'll leave it at that and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the board before we open it up to the public?
I have a question for staff. I just want to clarify something, because last meeting on this, we discussed how we're able to review that foundation wall, even though it props up the ADU and then the garage on top. Have circumstances changed for that? And the reason I ask is if I want to ask questions about that foundation wall and its relation to the story pole, which I want to confirm is now going 4 feet into the ADU. Just to get,
So comments on the ADU cannot be part of the discussion.
Agreed.
Right, okay, but anything else is open for discussion. Is that answering
and
your question?
that foundation wall is not part of the ADU.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to, I think that was
Wanna
part of,
ask the-
part of the issue. Part of the issue was,
Allowed to ask that.
no, part of the issue was how that wall hit the ground there and how big it was and what you could do at the base. And you can still discuss that.
Okay, because it's no longer on the plans, which is why I wanted
Right.
to ask. Okay, so how tall is that foundation wall now at its max? I think last time it was about 10 feet. Obviously, it's shortened as we've brought it in.
Yeah. It's about 8 feet max. It's 4 feet average.
Okay. Okay, great. I think that's the only question I had.
I have a question for you.
Oh.
Mike, your mic?
There was a late mail from 1970 Straits View, which I assume the planning board means us, design review board. Can we compel an applicant and its neighbor to enter into any type of agreement, or can we put conditions of that sort and nature as described in the letter?
I'm going to ask our attorney to answer that question.
No, I would not put a condition like that. I would not recommend that kind of condition.
And we cannot, right? As a board, we cannot do
No.
a condition like that,
Well, you could encourage people to come to an agreement.
but we
but
can't
you can't
memorialize
condition
it.
an an approval based on,
Okay.
if there, it would just depend. What kind of, if you, right, like if you're going to show exactly, like if you need to show that neighbors reach an agreement on easement, that could be, that's a condition that you can, it would just depend on what you're trying to do.
there was number one where they said that the project received approval and support from the Seidel family and that it signs as a condition of our approval of their proposed garage. And that,
So,
Yeah, please.
so what I'm also thinking is there are pieces of this that are part of what we already require, such as when you can have construction activities. That's already part of a code that we have. You have, and
Oh, I
in
see.
most of our conditions of approval, ask that there be a construction management plan. And that construction management plan will take care of where you stage, where you can park vehicles. So some of these things are definitely parts of what is already going to be part of the resolution and conditions of approval. So I think that incorporating it is, the only thing that would be number one. And I don't think that that is anything that we can include tonight. But
Right.
otherwise, I think there are issues here that will be part of a construction management plan and is already part of construction activity regulations in town.
so to
But if the-
clarify, we can't be compelling anybody to do 1 and 2, 3, and 4 are already embedded in the conditions for approval.
Correct.
Okay.
The first condition or the first request here is not,
Right.
you can't do that.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
I have a couple more questions. Oops. Okay, so I do just want to confirm that foundation wall, because I'm sorry if I missed it. I can't find a story pole diagram. Maybe I did miss it, but that foundation wall is not captured in that that story pole. Isn't
That's
Just-
correct.
Okay.
The story pools represent the footprint of the garage.
Right. Okay. So it's pushed in 4 feet from that foundation wall?
It's about 5.5 feet
5.5 feet. Okay.
east of the garage.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then I just wanted to clarify with the landscaping proposal, is it conditional on Public Works approval? What?
No, well, and that was the interesting thing, and I've talked to Public Works several times, and they said, no, it's your property. You can do it. I mean, you can ask staff. I know Savannah communicated with them too. Maybe ask staff what their understanding of it is, in addition to mine.
Okay.
Yeah, just to clarify, yes, David Eshu did confirm that that is his property and he would be able to build those retaining walls without any issue.
Okay. And those are, I'm sorry to be nitpicky, but we don't have like a formal landscaping drawing. It's just on a site plan. These are proposed. We should interpret these olive trees as proposals and part of the application.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Questions? All right. With that, we will open it up to the public. So if we could, anybody that's here to speak on this application, you can go ahead and sit down. Oh, actually, let's see if is anybody here wishing to speak on this application that's in the room? If you could, please come forward. All right, seeing none, we'll go to the Zoom.
There are no public comments from the Zoom audience.
Okay, you do have an additional 5 minutes if you'd like to say any final words or. You don't have to use it.
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of everybody's time, I think I said everything I meant to in the presentation. So thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, we'll take it back to the board. Would anybody like to lead? And you can sit down if you want.
Can you please close the public hearing
Yeah,
officially?
I'm sorry, yeah, so we'll close the public hearing portion of it, and take it back to the board.
So the question is, whether or not we support the variance and the 4 findings. If we can make those findings for, the, lot coverage excess. I have a quick question to staff. I might have missed this in the package, but is there something that lays out, sort of diagrams out other parcels where the excess has taken place? And I just can't remember, sorry.
Some addresses are listed in the findings for the variance.
Okay, okay, thank you. And I do appreciate, I can make the 4 findings. I do appreciate the changes, that were made to the design. I think, breaking up the wall into different masses and also using materiality to even break up the massing a little bit more. I found that really nice and I appreciate the changes that were made and the stairs that go somewhere versus nowhere. So I think I could approve and I can make the findings for the variance, as is.
Alex?
I'm happy to go. Yeah, I agree. I think there's the improvements are really nice to see. I think even just the story poles, just complete night and day. I mean, from my perspective, when you're walking by, and I think introducing that screening to just kind of mask a bit of that because it is again it's tough because it's just such a steep hill and the building will feel closer to the street than it actually is because of that. And I think the screening adds a lot of nice softening that'll just make it feel a little less kind of looming. So can also support the variance and make the 4 findings.
I certainly agree with everyone here. The significant effort you put into making the changes that we discussed, very obvious. It's a credible vision. I was very pleased with everything I saw about the project. I congratulate you on doing that, and I certainly can find the 4 variants.
All right, I was probably the closest to being able to support the last version, but I had a sneaking suspicion that we were going to see a much better version this time, and I think it's the absolute the changes that have been made. I think it's that much more beautiful. Also, just the discovery of the area in front, which I think really breaks up the bottom portion, which was the biggest concern. So it's also got my full support on it, and can also make the findings. So it sounds like we're all in the same place and would be looking for, assuming we have a draft resolution, we'd be looking for a motion to approve the draft resolution.
I move to accept or to approve the draft resolution as drafted and then make the findings that it's categorically exempt from CEQA.
All right, and we have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. With that, just
Thank you.
yeah. And with that, we move to PH2 14 Southbridge Road East. If the applicant could come forward, please. Again, you'll have 20 minutes to present and then we'll open it up to the public.
Thank you. Sorry, I just want to test it out the equipment here and make sure we can understand it. Thank you, board members. My name is Scott Couture. I'm the project architect, and I just want to talk to you briefly about the project tonight. I'm going to start with the scope. You guys have the plans, you have the elevations, the material list on there. I'm going to start talking about the scope. This project, the majority of the project is really just kind of an interior remodel, an exterior resurfacing, replacing windows, some of the siding, the doors, and some of the roofing. This house has not gone through a remodel since 1990, and it is due. The way we're going to remodel it is we're going to kind of pull back some of the Japanese aesthetic that's been applied to it. This was done in 1990. I'm going to pull it back to a little more of what was the aesthetic probably back in 1950s, and then modernize it to a sort of a modern version of a mid-century modern. The material list, you can see on there, it's really kind of a dark tone stain. The paint we have on the wood siding. We have some wood decking, wood trellis work on the lattice work on the siding and the fencing, and steel trellis work on there. And so that's basically the material list on there. We do have an addition that's attached to this project. The addition is 278 square feet on the upper level. It's only 79 square feet on the lower level. So the additional area total is 357 square feet. There is on that upper level now 800 square feet of deck. It's spread between 3 different decks. We are going to remove one of the decks off the master bedroom. We are enlarging a deck that is right off the living area. Currently, it's 400 square feet. We're going to make it 475 square feet. And then we're reducing the deck by 150 square feet. That's off of bedroom number 3. So total, we're going to reduce the deck by 215 square feet. We are requesting 3 variances here. 2, I think, are very minor. There's a lot coverage variance, 1.7% increase. The current property is already over the allowance, as most properties are in this neighborhood. There is a house setback variance. This house is not parallel to the lines. It steps back and forth. There is a corner of our kitchen addition that sticks over the setback line by 1.5 feet. The total area of that is 4 square feet, less than 4 square. So it's a pretty minor intrusion into the setback. And then we have a deck setback, which is probably the major setback that we have here. The deck is 6 feet from the property line, where 12 feet is required. It is still anywhere from 23 to 70 feet from any neighboring residence. It is 46 feet from any neighboring window. And the neighbor on that side, number 12, Southridge, does not have any exterior spaces on that side. There's a little walkway, and that's about it. As I stated earlier, variances are typical in this neighborhood. This neighborhood was designed prior to being incorporated into the town of Tiburon. Just a quick synopsis, there's non-conforming examples at 10 Southridge, 12, 16, 18, 20, and 22. It's pretty much the whole gamut on that side of the street. Staff has provided this in their staff report. All the all these red areas are non-conforming, a pretty consistent neighborhood. Number 14 sits right here. Just a brief overview of what we're proposing. This is the existing lower level floor plan. In green here is the additional area. This is basically kind of underneath the decks and the living area up above. We are removing a portion of the existing floor area in the back there. This thing is sensitive. This is that same additional area. This is over the proposed floor plan. This is where we're going to add to it. This is just a clean floor plan, the lower level. This is the existing upper level. Again, the green areas here are additions. These are over existing decks. The red area is showing deck removal, each one of these. And then this is the deck expansion off to the side. That's over the existing plan. This is that same overlay on the proposed plans. And this is just a clean copy of that. I want to kind of get to context here. So this is what Wheatlands is really all about here. It's this view of San Francisco. All of these homes were set up to sort of gain access to have this view. The way the properties were arranged is they were basically staggered on the sites. You can see all of these homes. So right behind me, right behind this camera angle here, is downtown San Francisco. This is 10 Southridge, facing the view, facing the view. This is 14, access to the view. 16 is access to the view. So all of these homes face San Francisco. And these homes are all staggered on their lots to do so. And this is part of the reason is why there's so many variances there, is that these homes aren't set out for the RO2 standards. Looking at these 3 houses in context, here's 14, here's 12, and here's 16. Number 12 has a really fabulous deck here, faces the view. This round portion of the deck is a little over 600 square feet. You can get a context of the size, probably another 600 to 800 square feet behind it. Number 14, this is right here, is their kind of view deck, living area view deck. This is 400 square feet. And then 16 Southridge East, this is their living area. And again, their view deck. And you can see that 16 really looks right across the backyard and the back face, actually into the back face of 14 Southridge East. This is sort of as you swing around a little more, you can start to see there's a landscape hedge. There's a pretty good distance between these 2 homes, number 14 and number 12. These are some windows down below. This is a little guest quarters. As we start to swing around, you can really kind of see the landscape and hedge between number 12 and number 14. And also notice number 16 has a master suite on the roof. This is a view quarter over basically the roof of 14 Southridge East. We look at it from kind of an aerial view. This is a large view of Reedlands overview. Here's number 14. Again, the view is in that direction. We zoom in a little closer. You can really see the arrangement of these three houses, which I think are very, very important in this situation. Here's the outdoor deck of 12, a fabulous deck there. This is a very sensitive piece, as I was warned beforehand. This is the south side of 14 Southridge East. Here, really the view quarter is really right through here, right along the side of this house, number 12. Again, 16 is staggered a little further downhill to open up a view quarter across the backyard of 14 Southridge East. These are just some important features there. This is at a landscape and screen on the south side between 14 and 12. This is the existing decks that are here. This is a deck off the master, and this is an existing pittosporum tree. This is really the view quarter of 16 Southridge East. Pretty extensive, wonderful view, but it does occupy pretty much the backyard of 14. And this upper portion here, the master suite, does kind of view over the roof of number 14. What zoning allows us to do is expand downhill. So the deck expansion in orange, house expansion in blue, we could expand on the roof. These are the setback lines, these little yellow lines here. This is not what we're doing. Even in the hillside design guidelines, when there is a wide, expansive view, it's okay for downhill neighbor to encroach into portions of that, small portions of that. Again, this is not really what we're proposing here. What we're proposing is to do an expansion here and here, kind of fill in the existing areas. And then take the outdoor deck area and wrap it around the side where it's private and has better access to the views. This is, does our proposal work? So we ran some photos and some photo montages from 16. We took one from the deck, the living area, the dining area, and the kitchen. This is the existing situation with the deck. Here's 14 Southridge East. Here's that pittosporum tree. That's right off the master bedroom deck, which is here. San Francisco is here. On a clear day, it's there. On a foggy day, you can't see it. And this is the proposal. So this is before and then after. There's really no view intrusion on here. We've cleaned up the architecture, made it a little more modern. This pittosporum tree has to be removed for fire standards, wildfire standards. And it's actually kind of dying. We think the color tone of the house is certainly starting to recede a little more. This is from the living area. And you see this is the deck. There's the pittosporum tree. The addition on there. Again, it avoids projecting itself into the view corridor. We go a little further back into the house at the dining area. Again, this is that pittosporum tree. The deck is back here now. This is the proposal. The pittosporum tree actually opens up some water view, removing that. And then the furthest back in that living area is the kitchen. Again, this is a fern palm that's there now. The pittosporum tree is behind that. The deck is right here. And this is with the proposal. We've removed the pittosporum tree. I think we've opened up a little bit of view there. Certainly, we're not blocking any additional view. The privacy issue from 14 is pretty significant. So this is the primary bedroom deck. Basically is a line of sight to the existing deck at 16 Southridge East and the living area. We move a little further back. This is the living room deck. Same thing, line of sight. Being out here it's a little uncomfortable. There is no privacy there. If we look at the other side, this is looking towards 12 Southridge East. These are from 2022, some older photos, existing landscape hedge. That's 12 Southridge East behind there. get this thing right. This is the current view of the story poles. This is another angle in 2022 showing the existing landscape hedge. This is in current with the story poles. And for this also, we wanted to check to see, are we creating privacy or view issues from 12 Southridge East? So we did same setup with photo montages. We did one from the living room, actually standing in the addition, and one from the deck entry area. This is the current setup. You can see the story poles are in place. This is the corner of the roof line of 12 Southridge East. And this is the photo montage with the deck in place, the trellis, the on and overhead. This is the corner of the addition. This is the deck entry. Story poles are up and in place. And this is the proposal overlaid that. So you see the deck, we've got a solid rail here, we've got the on and up above. And again, the vegetation remains here. We did go to 12 Southridge East, and this is looking out the guest bedroom windows. This is looking back. 14 Southridge is here. The story poles are in place. You really don't see it. This is upstairs in the guest bathroom. Again, 14 Southridge East is here. Story poles are in place, but you don't really see much. And then this is from the master, the primary suite, from the shower area. Again, looking back directly back at 14 Southridge East. Story poles are in these photos. So again, the majority of the project is really kind of a remodel, exterior, interior, kind of refresh the house, make the interior plans work a little better, the windows a little better. Primary goal of Chris and Christine were really to create an indoor and outdoor family living area. We've rearranged the house a bit on the inside so that the kitchen and living room are on the view side, on the south side of the house. It is possible now on the east side to pull shades down there, create privacy, but still have an interior living space that opens off into the deck, that opens off into the view. So it's really has access to both the view and access to some nice private indoor and exterior living spaces. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take them.
Any questions for the applicant?
Could you clarify which variance is for a new condition and which variance is for an existing condition?
So all the requested variances are for new conditions.
Okay.
So we've expanded the building coverage by 1.7%. I think it's like 250 something square feet. The house setback variance is limited to the corner of a kitchen. It's a little under 4 square feet. Projects basically just, I think, 1.5 feet into the living area. I can kind of show you where that is. And that is literally just right here. Not sure I can hold this still enough. Just a little corner that goes over the line, right at the corner of the door is opposite the island.
Okay. And then the table on page, I don't know what page of the PDF. It's the table where you did the FAE variance analysis of all the different sort of properties in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do the math, but it does seem the lot coverage is based without that without the ADU, correct?
The ADU is included in that, yes.
If you had not included the ADU, what would the lot coverage variance?
Identical. Because the ADU is completely underneath the upper floor, it's considered, it's calculated in there anyways.
So the lot coverage is still going to be the requested lot coverage is up to 26%.
Correct.
Okay. And with the side yard setback,
Mhm.
are the comps on the house or are they on sort of other accessory?
They're a little bit of both. The closest one that I can pull off the top of my head is at 16 South Ridge East. They were approved, the last project they had done there, they expanded, I think, the deck and added the master suite on there. But the master suite on the side that is with 14 South Ridge East has a variance to it. The deck, I believe, and this is pointed out in the staff report, is 7 feet from the property line.
Okay. And then with the front setback, it says 1971. That's existing, no?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's not a request for a new condition. That's a request for an existing condition.
I mean, my understanding is that the existing conditions are not a request on this application because they're existent.
That is correct.
So the 10 feet, and it says in parentheses 1971, that's for a new request for an additional.
No, that is a variance that was processed on that year, in that year.
Okay, I just want to
It's
clarify
existing.
that. So
It's
that's
existing.
existing. The side setback is what is being requested.
That is
Um,
correct.
And then the lot coverage of 26% is being requested.
That
So
is
there is
correct.
basically one for an existing setback, another variance being requested.
There's no existing variance that's being asked in this application. It's all proposed.
Even the front yard
There's-
setback?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay. It's being
Because that's existing.
And
There's
it's
no
not changing.
change. Yeah.
got it. So we still have to approve it even though it's,
It's not being requested. It's not.
I
in the
got it. I
application.
understand.
It's what
okay.
we would call a non-conforming.
Condition. that
condition.
We just accept.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, now I have a couple questions. Maybe I misheard. The lot coverage, the lot coverage is non-conforming, right? So that is an existing condition.
That is correct. And because it's increasing,
Right.
we're asking for a variance here.
What did you say? You asked if none were, they're all existing? Or according to.
So they're asking for 3 variances and 1 lot coverage variance. The front one, it's a non-conforming condition, so
Already.
it's already there. The lot coverage is going from 24 to 26%. And then the side one is the one that's probably, yeah, it's going from, is it 15 right now? I can't remember what the existing is.
Well, the deck already seems non-conforming.
Yeah, the deck,
Yeah.
deck is already non-conforming.
And there's an existing portion of that building on that side that has a 12-foot setback. And what we're proposing one that has a 13.6-foot setback.
So if you look at the staff report on page 2, there's a wonderful chart that will help because I think attachment 8 can get a little confusing on the staff report. But as you can see, the south side house bump out is a required, the existing is 14.6, the proposed is 13.6. And then, so there's yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And so they're going from existing is 11.4 right now on the south side deck expansion, and the proposed is 6 feet. So there's a required, existing and proposed on that chart.
Okay, it's just different from the variance analysis as done on another page.
That's
but
correct.
okay.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
there is also one that you could look at, but it might make it a little more confusing, which is attachment 8 in your staff report sort of lays out every single property around. This one on page 2 solely looks at this particular project and the required existing and proposed in a really succinct manner.
Yeah, the attachment 8 is different. There's some little different numbers than page 2.
Yes, because we're comparing some of the other projects. I think page 2 helps you understand what exactly is being proposed or requested.
I have a question for the applicant, unless you keep going, you still, okay. Just a couple questions, 'cause having trouble seeing these numbers are pretty small on a printout. So just comparing the east and the east elevation for the existing and the proposed,
Mhm.
how much does that come out? How extended is the proposal to the existing of the new deck? And I'm talking more about the straight that in this elevation. How
Mhm.
much is it extending towards the left, which would be 12 Southbridge?
Are you talking about the deck or the house?
The deck. How much more does the extending deck, the proposed deck extend compared to the existing deck?
Tell you 1 second.
So Board Member Rosner, if you look at the chart that we have here, on page 2, the existing is 11 foot 4 inches and they're going to 6 foot.
Yeah, I just want
that's-
to confirm though, because that's off of the side that the setback, and because the setback's at a different angle than the deck is, I want to confirm just that
Oh,
plane.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have a drawing that superimposes existing and the proposed condition?
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Yes, I do.
On a
And
floor
I'll give you the dimension in a second here. So it's anywhere from 5 feet, 6 inches to 9 feet that it expands towards the south, towards that shared property line with 12 Southbridge East.
Okay.
But do you have a drawing that shows a superimposition of the
Yeah.
existing and the proposed?
So right there.
All right. Okay. So it's 9 feet is that upper right corner?
Correct. So 9 feet is up here.
Okay.
This is about 5.5 feet down there.
Okay.
And then what is the area of all the pinks of all the existing versus the area of the new combined?
So there's 800 square feet of deck existing, and there's 552 square feet proposed. So there's a reduction of deck area total.
And that's all concentrated in that primary deck, 552?
No, there's 100 square, this is about 475 square feet, and this is about 100 square feet.
Okay. And then, sorry, one more question on since we have this up, what are the dimensions of that bedroom that's having the addition?
Which bedroom?
The one with the addition, yeah, that one.
That one there? It is. About 15 by 18.
15 by 18. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Why you have that up there, the closest the deck gets to the property line is this far right corner, is that correct?
Yes, it's 6 feet.
That's the 6 feet area. Oh,
Mhm. And that's where it's parallel with the property line. And then it sort of veers off from there.
What is the current distance from the glass facade of the house to the front face of the barbecue area? What is that distance? Narrowest spot.
So I'd say the center of the barbecue to, the door, 7 feet, 9 inches.
At the very end, though. I assume that that's a barbecue or it's a counter that goes all the way down.
Yeah, this here. You want this distance?
Yeah,
Okay.
to the front edge, front face of the counter.
Six feet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? With that, we will open it up to the public. So if you'd like to speak on this, you can grab a seat and. we'll
Can
bring-
the owners speak? Yeah, I think there's some time left.
Yeah, we started asking questions. I hadn't stopped my clock. So for the back of the room, do we have a estimate on when the actual,
The owner
Start.
can speak.
yeah,
I
but I
think-
just wondered how much time we had.
I think there were
Did we-
6 minutes left.
I think that was
Yeah. 5.5.
5.5 minutes. Can we put 5.5 minutes back on the clock?
Okay, thank you.
You talk? Okay, I'm just gonna be really, really short and brief. I know everybody's gonna be tired at the end of the day. My name is Chris. Me and my wife Christine and my son Austin. We bought a house since 2017, and we've been living here for almost 8 years now. Since we bought a house, we know that the house definitely needs some remodeling. We've been putting it off because of a busy schedule. We both work in healthcare. And lately, because of the roof leaking, I think we have 6 part of the roof is leaking. We actually have to restore it and probably repair like 4 or 5 times. It's still leaking right now. So every time it rains, we still have to put buckets all around the house just to avoid the leakings to affect the house. So that we know that it's time for us to really have to replace the house for us to live in a better place. When we moved in, we actually did some kind of remodeling to remove the greenhouse on the deck. We removed the big umbrella to avoid the view. So we know that it is annoying for our neighbors. So we did remove all that when we moved in. We have always been really trying to be good neighbors for the neighborhood. We have received numerous feedback to all the neighbors that told us that we are the perfect neighbors to move in this neighborhood because we always try to offer help and really try to make everybody happy around the neighborhood. We try to offer many different things to the neighbor. We never cause any troubles. So everybody also make a lot of comments about they all love my son, Austin, and everybody welcomed us really well. So, and also because of we get along with everybody really well, and I was very honored to be invited to be part of the HOA organizations. So even tomorrow, we're going to go to the board meetings to attend a meeting to improve the security of the neighborhood. So we volunteer a lot, and I also volunteer in the school activities. We just took a bunch of kids a few days ago, took a whole day off, just to take a bunch of kids to go to Ring Mountain because we love the neighborhood. And it's a good day just to take the kids and just enjoy the area. And we also we respect people, we respect everybody, and especially in healthcare, both me and my wife work for the VA hospital. We cherish respect people that help to build our countries and defend our countries. I think we felt very honored to really dedicate ourselves to restore their health, and that they deserve the medical system, the service that they defend for country, that we feel really proud to offer health to them. We also offer a lot of medical advice to neighbors, including neighbors that probably around here tonight as well. So, so after remodeling process, compared to all the other houses that we have here, it's still a very average house size-wise, and also the view probably is still one of the most limited views around the whole neighborhood, every single house around us. So I understand that people might have different opinions about things, and we totally respect that, but we just gonna rely truly on the competent design review board people and members here to help us to make a really reasonable and fair decision, and we respect that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now we will open it up to the public. If you wish to speak on this application, if you could come forward, and you would please state your name and your address for the record. Anybody here wishing to speak on this project? All right. Yeah, if you could come forward, up to the microphone, and just again state your name and your address, please. And we ask everyone to keep their comments at 3 minutes.
My name is Alexander Mortazavi. We have resided at 12 Southridge East since 1979, which is 46 years. And we received a letter from the architect informing us about the project and stated in a letter that should you have any concerns or questions, please reach out to me and we will be more than happy to respond to your questions and concerns. We arranged a meeting to demonstrate our concerns. We all went to our home. We went to the master bathroom, and I asked Mrs. Chu to please step into the shower. And then I told Mr. Chu, let's reverse the equation. Let's assume you own our home and we own yours. It is October, daylight savings ended. Your wife comes home from work and wants to take a shower. She'll be totally exposed to this proposed project. Then we went to the bathroom adjacent to that. There's a toilet sitting right on the window, directly looking to the project. I asked Mr. Chu to please sit on that toilet, and I repeated the same question. Both bathrooms, I asked Mr. Chu to, how do you feel about that if this happens to your wife? And there was no response. It's been 2.5 months since we got the letter. They have refused to do the smallest revisions in their plans, so we would not have been here tonight in opposition. Showing all the emails exchanged with our son Rick, who is with us with the Zoom from San Diego tonight, and he will speak later, that anyway, they have not willing to make any smallest modifications to their plans. That's why we are here tonight in opposition, and we do understand that every owner of a home in Tiburon would have the right to improve their property, which makes the value considerably up. But it cannot.
We're at 3 minutes, so if I could just get you to wrap up.
I have
please.
one more sentence. It cannot be done with a detriment to their neighbors and loss to their neighbors. This project will devalue our property by blocking the views looking to the project and exposing our privacy that we enjoyed and cherished
To get you to wrap up.
in the past almost half a century.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else wishing to speak on this project? Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that last. Yep. Yep.
You go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. My name is David Asan. My wife, Paris, and I have lived at 16 Southridge Road East for the past 20 years. We've raised our 3 children there. We love our home, the views, and the plan to pass it down to our kids. We have no intention of ever selling this house. We've known the Chews since they moved next door in 2017. We have had shared many meals, gatherings together. They know how we use and value our home. About 8 months ago, they showed us an early drawing of their renovation plans. We immediately expressed concern about a proposed addition near our kitchen, dining room, and living rooms, specifically a small 4 by 10 foot structure that would significantly impact our views of San Francisco and the open sky. Despite that feedback, the final plans they later shared showed the same addition unchanged. We also object to the height of the addition in the current deck area. This height needs to be reduced by 2 feet as not to harm our views from the master bedroom. They are now seeking multiple variances, but a variance is meant to address hardship. And in this case, blocking a neighbor's view for an extra few square foot does not qualify as hardship. They have other design options that could meet their goals without compromising ours. We're not against their renovation. In fact, we support thoughtful home improvements. We're simply asking for a more collaborative approach that respects both our properties. Please deny the plan as submitted and encourage a revised design that better balances their needs with the integrity of our home and views. And also, I object to the photos that were taken from my house. They're taken at weird angulations, and those should not be submitted for the record. And I'd like to challenge those in person. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment?
Good evening. I am Alexander's wife, owners of 12 Southridge East from 1979. I'm also here tonight to strongly oppose to all of the requested variances on the submitted plans for remodel of the existing single-family dwelling at 14 Southridge East, including the requested deck side setback variance of 6 feet where 12 feet is required. The requested reduced south side yard setback of 12 feet where 15 feet is required, and the requested excess lot coverage of nearly 28% where 15% is the maximum permitted. We strongly oppose these variances because they will result in blocking existing views of our home, block sunlight, decrease privacy, and significantly decrease property value at 12 Southridge East. Moreover, official records indicate that the 14 Southridge East property has a 16,524 square feet lot with 2,718 square feet of existing livable area, plus a 2-car garage of 462 square feet, and additional multiple decks with unknown square footage. The 14 Southridge East residence already exceeds the maximum allowed lot coverage of 15%. We do not agree with the requested variance of further exceed the maximum allowance of the coverage up to the 28%. And one more thing that I want to say, the same thing as the pictures were presented were not acceptable by us. We presented our own pictures. The architect requested to get some pictures and we said yes, and he turned the camera to the trees and took some pictures. We saw that later. We didn't know what he was doing. So please see our pictures that have been submitted to Savannah and she can give it to the board. Also, it is so sad to see the senior abuse has become so fashionable with the new generation moving to our street. This really needs to be stopped. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any additional public comment?
My name is Parizadeh Ehsan. I'm David Ehsan's wife. We live at 16 Southridge East in Tehran. Even though the pictures were not taken from the correct angle, but as you saw the pictures from our kitchen and our dining room, you saw that when the new construction will be built, we're going to see this big, massive brown, dark brown structure rather than seeing it through the trees, the existing trees right now, and the house is greenish, very natural looking. So basically it's going to, yeah, the angles they had is not really correct because right now our dining room area, which is our main living area, and the kitchen area, we can see through the trees and we can see the horizon. Whereas if the building, you know, the brown dark building that they're building, then we're going to just look at this block from our dining area, which is we only have one dining area. I mean, we don't have a formal dining room or anything else. That's our main living area and our living room. So I just wanted you guys to look at the pictures again, if you can, from 16 Southridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment here in the room? All right, with that, we'll go to the Zoom call. If you are on the Zoom, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom. That's what we're asking for now. So if you're on the Zoom call, please use the raise hand feature and we'll let you into the room.
Chair Chong, I'm going to raise or turn on the audio for Rick Mortazavi.
Thank you. If you could state your name and address, please.
He needs to unmute.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, hello, my name is Rick Mortazavi, 12 South Ridge East. So also I'm here to oppose the project that's proposed at 14 South Ridge East. Mr. Couture has attempted to describe the project as a minor aesthetic remodel. And basically that is not the case at all. It is a massive project, ceiling heights going from 8 feet to 11 feet, 3 new variances, as you heard. The deck is moving up to 8 feet closer to our property. This tree coverage that he's sort of hanging his hat on and describing, that those are just temporary. Those trees will be trimmed. And also the photos that were shown also seem very unusual to me, because we have several east facing windows, and I don't know if that photo was modified or doctored up, but it certainly doesn't look like that. You can certainly see our windows from 14 South Ridge. And also, though photos taken from supposedly 12 South Ridge East towards 14 were taken from very deceptive angles, purposely pointing towards the tree coverage rather than the line of sight that goes directly to seeing the home. I mean, we can very clearly see the story poles in the home. And what we're going to see is these massive trellises, this massive east wall extension further to the east into our line of sight where we formerly saw trees and lush hillside. We're going to see, nano walls, almost the complete exterior wall, south facing wall, which would be facing towards us on all those windows. So this project will have a massive impact on our property value, our privacy, and our views. And the bottom line is that they could have easily planned a very successful project that would greatly improve their property value, increase their total living area, their primary views, their deck space, their ceiling heights, without having to severely impact our property value, privacy, and views that we've enjoyed for 46 years. So despite numerous lengthy emails explaining the adverse impact to our property and all these things we mentioned with privacy and views, and we have made some very minor and reasonable suggestions for modifications where they could reel in this overly ambitious project and bring it into one that conforms with the local ordinances for setbacks, and one that will not, adversely impact us, the most impacted neighbor. They have been completely unwilling to make any changes at all, which is not neighborly in spirit whatsoever. We support them doing a project. We support them improving their home. We support them beautifying their home and increasing their property value. However, we don't support it at our expense and detriment completely with an overly ambitious plan with numerous variances. And so that is why we are here in strong opposition today. I'm sorry?
I was just going to say we're at 3 minutes, so if I could just get you to wrap up.
Okay, and it should be noted that we are fully prepared to retain legal counsel to fight this matter to the fullest extent to protect our property.
All right, thank you. All right, any additional comments from the Zoom?
There are no more comments, Chair Chong.
All right, thank you. So now we bring the applicant back up to, you have 5 additional minutes to address any of the concerns that were raised.
I think I'll first kind of just address the issue of variances. I think, as you've seen in some of the charts that staff has provided, there are variances all over this neighborhood. So it's not unusual. The whole neighborhood is under a hardship condition. One of the neighbors that spoke up here, 16 South Ridge, they alone have a floor area variance, side yard setbacks for both sides of the yard, a rear yard setback for deck and house. So it's very prevalent on there. So what we're asking for is certainly not unusual. We did listen to the neighbors' concerns, but listening to their concerns doesn't always mean you agree with them. We listened to the concerns of 16 Southridge over the view impact. The plan that he spoke that he saw is different than what you saw, what you have in the application. That plan had the master suite going all the way over to the existing sidewall, basically where it steps where there's a master closet now that used to be filled in. It was when I stood at their kitchen sink and I looked out their window that the impact of building all the way out to the side there was more than I anticipated, original design. So we moved it. We rearranged the master suite so that we could have that step back corner in there. So we did listen. We did go to 12 Southridge. We went over there. We saw it from their perspective. We listened to it from their perspective. I brought Chris and Christine over there to listen to for the same thing. We just disagree with the impact that it's having to them. The south side of 14 Southridge East is the primary view side of this house. It is now the primary living space. It is the primary outdoor space. It has access to the only view of downtown San Francisco. The opposite side on 12 Southridge, the north side of their home, is not the primary side. They have a south, or sort of a south-facing primary side also. What Chris and Christine are looking for here is a small portion of what both their neighbors have, is big, beautiful outdoor decks. Both neighbors have larger decks, great access to views. This is what Chris and Christine are looking for, with a sense of privacy to that. The photo montages and the photos that I took and we put together, they're real. They're photos. They're not doctored. And I think they speak for themselves. I think they speak to the view impact. You look at them, I don't see it. I've been doing design review in Marin County for 35 years. I don't see it. I look at the privacy impact on the other side. You see photos there. There are photos from 2022. There's photos from 2024, 2025. We have the montage in there. Again, I don't see the privacy impacts. And this is why we didn't make those changes. We listened to some of the uphill neighbors. 32 Southridge West requested some tree removals. We took them down to open up their view. Same with, I think, 20 Southridge East. Again, take some trees down to open up their view corridors in there. So I think what we propose is very sensitively placed within the neighborhood. Every house, every project has an impact. That's what a neighborhood is about. We've tried to minimize it here. This is not a large project. It's a lot of work that's being done to revamp the existing house. But again, the addition, 357 square feet, that's it. The decks, we're actually reducing the amount of decks on that property. So I think what we're proposing here is very carefully considered through both the zoning and both through the hillside design guidelines. And I think that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any questions?
Are you raising the sill height on the roof?
So just over the living room. So right now there's an entryway that has a ceiling height, I think it's about 10 feet, 3 inches. So we've matched that just in the living room. So the kitchen, the dining room all have 8-foot ceilings, they're all existing. The living area, just over that one area, we've raised it up to the same height that the existing entry is now.
Okay. And the bedroom to that corner then is at 8 feet?
8 feet.
8 feet.
Yeah. So these are, as you know, below standard room heights for Tiburon.
One more question. When I visited the applicant's house, she mentioned that there was a greenhouse at that deck. Could you describe this deck? And there was a structure that was in that sort of.
So I've seen sort of fuzzy pictures of it, but there used to be here just a glass greenhouse structure. It was there when Chris and Christine bought the house. I understand it was not in great condition, so they took it down.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Are there pictures of that in this?
There's not in this, no.
Okay. And then I had a question. Sorry, did you have more questions? In your design process, as it sounded like when you were talking to the neighbors, when you saw you pulled it in a little bit, that addition, did you explore kind of shifting this floor plan more bottom of the screen? Because it's, there's to take care of, there's some space on the other side. Did you do any exploration there? Was there any complications in doing that to minimize that addition width?
So our original proposal that we had done some preliminary designs, and we had the addition, excuse me. Someone warned me about fat fingers earlier when this thing, they were correct. So we had the addition coming out all the way to this wall here. And this is where that pittosporum tree was. And when I first showed up, this is in 2022 or 2021, that pittosporum tree was pretty full. It's pretty bare now. It's had a hard time the last couple of years. And, my expectation from the vantage of being on the property of 14 Southridge is that wouldn't have any view impact because the tree was there. It wasn't until we went over to meet with the folks at 16 Southridge East that that I stood at their kitchen window. This is when we had these photos taken. And I realized that, it would still be covered by one of the trees there, but it would just feel more impactful being right up against that face. And it was clear to me that I underestimated the impact. And so we went back and we redesigned it so that it didn't do that. So it had to step back in there. One of the key goals of Chris and Christine, and I think is a very realistic one, particularly around here, is that, they want to try to capture some of the city view from the master suite. It's not this is, these are multi-million-dollar homes. There's certain criteria that they should meet. And so we wanted to keep the master bedroom up here and put the bed on this side. The other reason, if you can kind of lay in bed here and I think whoever's on this side gets the better view, but you begin to see the bay and Belvedere and parts of San Francisco. And the other key part is that, we can put a drape here and start to pull it across, and then it provides privacy from the deck. So you can lay in that bed, pull the drapes halfway across the doors, have complete privacy between the two houses, and still be able to obtain that view. This is not a huge master suite. You've seen much bigger in Tiburon. We've designed much bigger in Tiburon. There's an 8-foot ceiling in there. So there's nothing grandiose about what we're proposing here. I think it's a pretty modest master suite for, a multi-million-dollar home in Tiburon, which all of these are.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Welcome.
I think can he answer?
Yeah, so you first of all, you need to come back up. And we did stop your 5 minutes, 1 minute short. So if you wanted to come up and use that final minute, you could. Right.
Not the time left behind now.
That we're in the middle of the 5 minutes, and we ask a question in the middle of their 5 minutes, and there was still a minute remaining. We've closed the public comment. We've closed the public comment.
Can I talk?
Yeah, please.
I do have the pictures when we bought a house. More than half of the deck was the greenhouse here. We removed the deck and also there's a huge fixed umbrella. It's always there to remove that. And we knew that we're going to remove the tree, so we've stopped watering the plants. So when we bought the house, the tree was really, really big and completely blocked, way more than what we view here. This is the proof coming from Zillow when we bought the house. I can share it. Okay, I don't know how to share it with you guys.
Is it possible to enter those into the record?
So we can.
Yeah, anything that you share with us has to get entered into the record.
I can email it to you right now. Okay. All right.
So, sorry, was that the end of your comment? Is that the, okay, all right. So with that, any additional questions from the board for staff or for the applicant? All right, so with that, we will close the public portion of the meeting, and we'll bring it back to the board.
Can you say you close the public hearing just so it's, yeah.
What's that?
You're
sorry,
the public hearing.
closing the public hearing. So would anybody like to lead us off? Yeah.
I did not have the opportunity to appreciate the privacy impact from the other properties. And
Those pictures, I tried to go there too, and I could not get in. I called.
From which property?
From 16. I did not see
from
there.
12 and 16, I didn't see those, and I did not see this invite until for these other properties till this morning, so I did not have, I would say that I did not have the ability to judge some of the privacy impact. Other than that, I thought there was a lot of thought put into that, and it wasn't an overextension, but I'm missing some of my ability to see that.
Can I ask staff, are there rules around showing photos amongst the board? I have photos from every.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Why, I have photos from all the properties.
You can show them, they are going to be part of the record. That's all. And if you don't mind that, then that's perfectly okay. What happens is, it's happened with Chair Chong before. He shared a photo and then he had to have it as part of the record.
I'm happy to share them, part of the record.
If you want to take a moment and they can, Board Member Rosner can share it with Board Member Odorcio, that'd be great.
View pictures from the applicant. Okay, you're up.
Do you want to, should they have a break?
I wanted to see it in the public as well, like the public should be able to
Oh,
see it.
I don't know how we can do that. What we've done in the past. So is there a way that you could send those to us so maybe we can project them for the public as well? Can he airdrop it? Not here. You can email it. You can't airdrop it to here. That's.
It's complete view. And I believe I did.
I might not have been there for that long.
Do you want to see the ones from for all three properties?
No,
No, just this one.
Just this.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm from all other application. Yeah, all three, yeah, for this application, all three houses.
So whatever you're looking at, just make sure Savannah gets a copy so maybe we can figure out a way to show that. Thank you.
This is all ready to go.
They're gonna show that pictures to us, so we can then hopefully flash them on the screen. We're gonna try on that. If it doesn't work out, you wanna send it to the printer and I'll get it. She's a 10 I'm not gonna try that.
Alex, can you confirm if you're going to send me?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Thank you.
That was on my computer.
Experience of tons of kids. Yeah. It just cycles. Yeah. There.
You were younger, that's why.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, I think probably the best thing to do would just be to have them displayed and then you can talk through them for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Like I said, I went Monday and then didn't know the open invitation until I saw it later today and wasn't able to do that.
Stop by this point. Do you think you're close or do you need a couple minutes? We can take a quick recess. What's that? Yeah, let's just take a quick recess for call it three minutes and we'll be back here.
On those plans are very, very small.
I know.
I'll wait for the. No pressure, no pressure.
He's better be helpful.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience. This is not something that we normally do. As you can probably tell, it's taking us a little while, but I think there was a desire by some of the board members that did not have a chance to visit it to be able to see all the photos instead of us just gathering around board member Rossner's iPad and not letting everybody else see what he was viewing. We thought we'd make that available to the public so that we could all see his photos and also officially enter them into the record. I will just add that since we as a board are a government body that's bound by a lot of things like Robert Rules of Order and a lot of rules that the town of Tiburon has on how we conduct meetings, since we are doing this a little bit uniquely and we're going to be putting them up there, we can't take comment. We really ask everyone to please be quiet and just imagine that it was us just gathered around an iPad, but we're sharing this with everybody. So thank you for that.
Technical, she's our technical genius over here. Please give her a moment. How do you want to show it? Can we share a photo of that? Okay, we can do it like this here. Right? So we have to show. It is, okay, that's fine then. We can show right here. Yeah. Okay. Turn off the light.
That looks like the greenhouse that the applicant showed.
Okay, so what we probably need, if you're going to discuss it, make sure your mics are on, please.
It looks like the applicant was talking about the greenhouse at acquisition. I would presume.
Umbrella is also fixed.
So we can't make any comments from the public.
Okay, looks like another view of that. It looks like there was some kind of umbrella there, but that's not a fixed structure. Could you stop on that one and zoom in? So it looks like the greenhouse covers a portion of that balcony in both directions. So it's inset from the outside and inset from the edge in two directions.
Where are you looking? Oh,
That little, yeah, on the left,
Yeah, yeah.
that little greenhouse. Yeah. Okay. That's helpful. Oh, okay. Instead of using my fingers? Yeah. Okay, okay. The button above the arrows. Okay, button above the arrows.
Let us know if you need us to stop on anything.
Okay. There's no picture of that there. Oh, well, okay. Did I just stop it? Sorry.
Oh, you're strong. Strong.
That must be the den, that must be the greenhouse adjacent to the den sliders, probably to the right of the bedroom. Looks like. Okay, that's good. I don't know.
Good. And then can we pull up, board member rosters,
Here.
And I will,
It's that thing.
can you just kind of
that's
narrate?
right there.
what, this one?
Yeah.
But she's, Savannah, you're driving? Okay, so maybe just go one by one, I could go. I have to remember, wait, can you start over? Get mine.
So that's 16.
This is the first one?
That looks like 16.
This is the first one, and this is not in order, my order. Oh, okay, all right, it's fine. We may be jumping back and forth, but yeah, so this is in six, and I will say I took these for myself to remember, not for like all of the public, so they may not be the best, but it is what it is. Yeah, this is 16. The kind of deck is right here. You can go next. You can go next on that one. This is from the master bedroom. Are you able to zoom in at all on these? Because it gives a little. So here are the story poles. I think I'm standing right now, kind of at the window. There'll be another one where I am sitting on the bed, which has it does have a very different vantage point, which we'll get to.
So the that's going to be the new dining room or the living.
This is the height of the living room right
Yeah.
here,
So that's going to go up to that level.
to this level right here.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll see it clear in another picture. Next. Okay, then you can zoom in.
And I'm sorry, what room are you in this one?
I'm in the master, and I'm not lying down on the bed. I'm like sitting at the edge of the bed. Just
That's the height. The new.
this is the new height. So you know.
Okay.
I don't know if you want my commentary or just to define yeah, so it's up here. And that's from kind of seated position. Next. Okay, this is on the existing deck, like at the edge of, now we're at 14.
Okay.
Just to look at the view and kind of this is 12 right here, and believe I'm at the edge of the existing deck. Yeah, so this is the view from now. We're at 14 at the kind of the existing deck, probably where the new, probably like, I don't know, what was it, like 4 or 5 feet into what would be the existing, the proposed deck.
Yep.
Yeah, next. This must be on that deck where the greenhouse was, I think at the edge, yeah.
The back edge, yeah.
Yeah, at the very back. I don't think I took a picture looking towards 16 in this for whatever reason. Next. This is just at the base in their yard of 14. Just kind of getting the vantage point from kind of, I don't think I was all the way down, but I was probably in the middle of the sloped yard. Next. Similar. Now I'm at 12. This is outside, I think, in between the two properties. Just see the story poles are right here of the trellis. Can you zoom in a little bit? Again, from 12 outside, I think just to get a shot of kind of the structure through, kind of they have an outdoor walkway that goes to a lower room, if I'm remembering correctly, which you'll see the lower room.
And that's the corner story pole, right?
Yeah, and Alex, this is the pole going to the left then, correct? The building is from that corner all the way over
This-
to the left.
This is the trellis, I think,
I think that's
because
just
you were
the
on the
Oh,
corner.
that's the trellis, okay.
trellis. It can't
Yeah.
be the building.
Right.
The
Yeah.
building edge on there remains, but it's just the trellis.
Oh, it's part of it, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Next. Can you zoom in? Can't remember because I was kind of in order. This is from a window. I believe the lower. I think the lower room of the of 12. I don't know if it was technically lower or was just up in front of the property. But we got to it from outside. Just kind of seeing the relationship of the new structure. Next. Might be, I'm in the bathroom. If you want to zoom in, I think it's just the story poles are again through this. I think it's a magnolia tree, massive magnolia tree. You can't really.
It's not a major. It's not a major space. It's a primary space. It's a.
It is a bathroom.
bathroom.
I'm in a bathroom. Yeah.
Okay.
Next.
And if you could clarify what a primary space is, what the code says.
Yeah. We go next. Yeah, we can keep going.
Can we get?
Can we go
next?
Do you want to know what our definition is for primary? View protection is more important for the primary living areas of a dwelling, such as living room, dining room, family room, great room, kitchen and decks associated with these rooms, than for less actively used areas of the dwelling, bedroom, bathroom, study, and office.
Thank you.
Can you zoom a little bit? You can go next. I don't. It's hard to obviously, as you can see, it's hard to see. Now we're back at 16. I think I'm on the deck. And again, if you want to zoom, this is just kind of that. I guess to put a point, I mean, it looked pretty dead. But the story poles are kind of just butt up against it. And that's kind of it. I think that's it.
Okay. Thank
So,
you.
That's super.
yeah, this is from the middle again. If you want to zoom in a little bit, this is from like the middle of the living room, and again, it just kind of shows, where the structure will be. I think it's okay to like taking pictures.
I know.
Yeah, so that's why I think it's good to zoom in.
All right. Is that the last one?
Yeah,
Right, Yeah.
no, that's the last one.
That is the last one.
Okay, yeah, they weren't really in order.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those. We
Yeah, sorry.
appreciate it. Photography skills. Yeah. So maybe now, since we walked through those, maybe like kind of go to more of the opinion, like what's kind of your opinion of view impact?
You want me to
Yeah.
start?
Well, lead us off, you.
Wow. Oh boy. Okay. Where to start? I think they are, for me, there are two separate issues and they're independent. I think there's the deck concern for 12, and then there's some of the view issues in the structure, the added structure for 16. I think for 12, I think there's challenges when you have properties that kind of close to each other. The structures are currently close to each other, and there's just a lot of vegetation that provides really great screening. And then there's some modifications to one of the structures, and it's coming a little closer, and then you start thinking, whoa, like if this vegetation is not here, there's a lot of exposure and a lot of maybe, potential privacy concerns or perceived. We talk a lot about like perceived privacy concerns. I think, yes, if you're in 12 and you're imagining that all that screening is now gone, you now have perceived privacy concerns.
Is it new though?
I don't believe it is new in my opinion. I don't think moving that deck at the furthest bit 9 feet closer materially changes the true privacy impact to 12. I think what is a significantly bigger privacy impact is removing all the screening, not maintaining the screening. I mean, I think there are times where we don't want to solve bad design with screening, but there's times where we just need screening. And I think this is one of these times. I think there's no world where I would want to live in either of those houses without proper screening, given the just proximity, both existing and proposed. I am a big proponent, and we can talk about the variance findings, which I can certainly find for this side yard setback variance for the deck. We talk a lot about how to utilize outdoor space on the hillside. The great things about Tiburon is being in the hillside, being able to enjoy the outdoors, and we need to, be flexible and open and figuring out how to achieve that to a degree where properties all have that ability, where their properties are just very different. And I think we've had a lot of deck variances, both lot coverage and side yard setbacks, approved because it really is the only way for a property owner to enjoy their space, their outdoor space in a reasonable manner. It's a 475-foot square deck. It's not that big. I think it's a very comfortable size. I think they have like a 16 by 16 space for a little couch, and they have then it's in a regular shape to have a little bit more seating, and it's not we've approved 1,500 square foot decks. It's not one of those. I think this is a pretty modest deck that allows for use of the outdoors in a way that otherwise, and I always say it's like, well, the alternative is like, when we talk about these variances and things like that, well, you could just build a 10-foot retaining wall and fill it in and then have a yard, and then you're going to have those privacy or noise concerns without like the zoning issues that now come with the deck, which is just an impractical kind of solution. So I think that's where I'm on
That's
that.
privacy and deck, but then let's go to 16. Yeah.
I think the trellis, I don't think it impacts. I don't think there's a view impact of if we're talking about, does it impact view or add massing concerns? I don't see that from 12 per the definition of view impact from a primary place. And I didn't have a ton of concerns on that. I'm not sure with or without the screening if the trellis has an impact relative to just the deck with or without it. I'm not sure it adds negative impact. I think it adds a lot of value for the homeowners in providing shade and kind of shielding from the sun. Personally, I think it's very important to have. So that's my thought on the deck. I don't know if you want to go focus on the deck and then we can focus on the other side, or you want me to go through the rest
To
of it?
me, I mean, just to continue, it sounds like kind of, I think I understand your perspective on 14 in the deck, but just maybe from 16.
16?
I'm sorry, from 12. Yeah. So now 16.
Now 16, yeah. 16, I'm a little, I think it's hard. I'm a little torn. I don't love, there's a massing now that's created. I do believe it's not a view. With the massing of enclosing now that bedroom, the deck in the bedroom, I find there is a massing impact. I would love to avoid it if there were alternatives. I don't know if there are reasonable alternatives. The floor plan is pretty minimal. You know, I think it's only a 15-foot wide bedroom. I don't think you can shift there. I don't know if there's some nip and tuck there because it's pretty bare bones floor plan. I definitely would love to explore ways to soften that elevation because I think that, you know, looking at, you know, looking at the new on A34, looking at the proposed north elevation, you're seeing a lot of just vertical and horizontal like siding now. And yeah, there's some step backs and it's not all one like flat pane, but you know, I need to think a little bit more of ways to soften that and maybe like reduce the impact. I think it's, look, they brought it in. I don't think it's a view problem. I think it's more, you know, more of a massing impact that it'd be nice to find a solve for it, but I don't think it is. This is where I am in it, and similar with the view impact when you're in bed. I'd like to find a balance where there's a couple things that tweak that make that negative impact on 16 like less. But I do think that the proposal is, I think the architect did as much as he could possibly to do that. Aside from maybe some, you know, maybe you break it up with a different material, or can you add back a tree? You know, maybe it's we can replace that pittosporum with something that's just green. I'd be definitely open to hearing thoughts from y'all on that one. You cut off a lot of water view when you're in bed, but it's a 10-foot 10 ceiling, you know. No, in the living room. This is the area.
Yeah. You see the RCP, it's.
So, you know,
Do you want him
All
to
right, well,
lower the
let's
ceiling?
sorry.
You have, I didn't understand, do you have some recommendations about lowering the ceiling, or, and also I didn't understand, do you have a issue with the deck variance, or do you?
I don't have it, not at all. Yeah.
Okay. I
All right,
didn't hear.
So let's go to Suzanne.
This is a very minimal in terms of changing the map. Pretty minimal renovation. It's not like adding tons of different things, nipping and tucking on Sharon's house. Yeah, it's
Is the mic on?
filling in sort of two sides, and then the living room is changing that. Sorry, it's changing with that one roof line, but in terms of changing the building massing, I don't see that much going on. Privacy works two ways, in my opinion. I think if you're worried about someone looking into your house, you're also, the other house doesn't want you to look at them either. So I can see this privacy issue is it's a double-edged sword. I unfortunately didn't go to 16, but I think the primary views are to the city. The only place where I did have a little bit of concern was the raising up the roof plate in the living room, and I could see how that could kind of adjust the the view perspective of that. So my bigger concern was that piece right there, and I think I did appreciate that, you know, they got rid of the deck, and I'm sure the neighbors got rid of or appreciate that little deck by the living room, or not the living room, the bedroom. That's gone, so they've gained their thing. I and I understand the intent of the fin, the little fins at the right here and here, and it's a privacy fin,
Mhm.
but
Right here, yeah.
I mean, there's no direct view into there, so I don't know. I that one, it's being it's nitpicking. And then in terms of the setbacks, I mean, the variances, I can definitely make the findings. Only question I have is the comfort of a 6 foot in that space, a 6 foot setback. And I question, could we pull it back another foot? Is that gonna really change things? I'm not sure. It's just gonna make this deck even smaller. And it's a pretty small deck, to be honest. It's not like a massive deck. And you know, they made a choice, which was the biggest choice, was they didn't push the building outwards towards the backyard so that the neighbor on 16 would really preserve there, and was really respectful to preserving that that view corridor. I mean, I find this pretty modest in terms of what they're asking for, so I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Jim.
Yeah, well, I did not find any real problem with the variance for the deck. I think you're right that you need to help them define what you mean by softening or improving the screening, the separation of these two homes, especially because it will look closer. And I think that you give some guidance on that. And otherwise, I think they did a fairly good job of preserving the view of San Francisco, which is, I believe, obviously the key part of this. And so I've heard us dance around and talk around it, but I think we need to give them some guidance on the, what do you, if we want to call it, softening or screening, but I could not ask them to change the deck variance.
The only reason why I was like wondering about the side back, the 6 feet, is there enough room for planting there? Is there enough room to have steps and planting? I don't know.
And one more question, just as you were there, and I know they were trying to match the height of the entry to this 10 and a half foot ceiling. But if you did drop the ceiling a foot and a half, would that, and I didn't see that, would that improve that view as you described from the bedroom? Enough that it's worth asking for that kind of compromise?
So the answer is it would improve. I mean, it would eliminate the negative impact that is proposed. I think what we as a board just have to decide is that view, what part of that view is protected? You know, this is the balance of, you know, you're making the applicant change and lower the ceiling or changing the architecture, and you know, it's so that's kind of the discussion I wanted to have, because you know, it's easier if they're 13-foot ceilings and you're like, you know, hey, it's a very you know, it's 10-10. I already know where Brian's going on this. So you know, it would be a nice gesture, you know, that's what we could leave them as, is approved, but it'd be a nice gesture, you know, to drop that 10 inches, but not conditionally approved. And then the applicant and the neighbor can find, so that, you know, we can take various courses. But yeah, that's like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, my opinion, I think in the spectrum of proposals, right, where on one end of the spectrum is very modest, right? And on the other end of the spectrum is, you know, some of the projects that we see that are the exact opposite of a very modest proposal. I do believe that the applicant made an attempt to create a very modest, like, proposal. Like, we could have just as easily seen a proposal that came through that ripped the entire home down. That I think from a height standpoint, there was still an additional 7 feet that they could have gone up, right? They could have created entire, deck on stilts that we, recently approved that sticks out, an additional, 10, 15 feet into the space. And so if you kind of compare like what it could have been on that end of the spectrum, like I think we definitely saw the modest version of it. The photographs, I'm glad that you're able to get there. Like, the one that caused me a little bit of concern is the master bedroom. That definitely provides some impact, but I think that, I guess where I end up falling on that is that while it does provide impact, it's a piece that is kind of like somewhat taken a barred view across the top of another property. And the ask here is a 10 to 11 foot ceiling, right? If it was a 14-foot ceiling, I think it'd be very easy for us to say, reel it back down to 10, right? Kind of 10's the new 8 in the world. And I think that the ceiling height, while it does provide it does cause some impact, it's also, you could argue it's a barred view, right? It's a home that's looking across something saying that like you're not allowed to ever develop this past an 8-foot ceiling. And I don't think that's necessarily, I will also say that, the master bedrooms not being included in primary views, I kind of question that a little bit and wonder if that's something that could be revised. I think people are very passionate about their views from their master bedroom, but a discussion for another day.
That's for town hall. That's for town council.
Yeah, exactly. Not our problem. So yeah, I guess I'm in agreement that there could definitely be some softening on the north side in the form of some additional plantings. I don't personally, I don't think it's something that is worth saying, like, at least my opinion, a continuance to try to redesign something. I don't think there's like a redesign that's to be had as much as like some additional screen that could be, or
Planting right next to the gravel steps or the gravel, there's steps, and then maybe there's put something there to soften that. That can add extra height. I think it's in both homes' advantage to put something there. So right now it's a path that's sort of right here, and so putting some kind of
Oh, I think you're on the other way.
the other side, the north side, this side. Oh, you're talking about this.
You're talking about
You're talking
Yeah,
about
you're
this
talking about
the bedroom,
right here.
the small addition.
Oh, okay, got it.
Is that what you were talking
yeah,
about?
this is it was the sheet that you pointed out that has kind of a wall of
Yeah,
this one right here, right?
this elevation.
This one.
Yep.
Yeah. And so is there anything that's called for right now in that area?
No. I don't think so. I don't think I saw a landscape plan. Is there?
I mean, what's really nice is that they're not putting a deck out there, right? It's
Yeah.
just- So
Wait, is this, maybe there is I can't read this. Remove, but I think it's pointing to that.
what?
Yeah, these spelling.
I can't read.
It says remove this tree right here.
But so they adding that tree though already?
They're removing this tree right here.
What is that?
That is when you see a sign like that, that's usually you're adding it. So they're adding the Leptospermum scorparium trees. So those are new. So this is a removal when it's a dashed line and there's an arrow to that. This is a removal sign. When there's a dotted line, that's a removal.
The text is.
So it says right here, new, 4 new trees right there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 right here at the corner. Those are definitely new trees. There's an N there. So they're removing sort of smaller trees and looks like there's a
These might be like-
3-inch dogwoods and they're putting in this Leptospermum
I think these are kind of
scoparium trees.
these are kind of like shrubs.
They're trees, they said. What is their full height on those? Staff, do you know what the full height would be of the floor?
Commonly known as the tea tree is an upright evergreen shrub which typically grows 6 to 10 feet tall and as wide. Sometimes grows in tree form to 15 to 20 feet.
I mean, do we wanna? Do we think planting is a solve for that? And it doesn't have to necessarily be what's proposed, but
It's double-edged sword, right? You want privacy and you want to sort of soften that view, but you don't want to block the trees blocking the view of 16. They just don't want to see a wall there that goes all the way down, and maybe there's a way to articulate that wall so it's not
Yeah,
just
I think of some plantings along, there's no plantings being called for in this entire area. If anything, it's removal of some fern trees. And so I think having like plantings here that
a
would
modest.
be,
Uh-huh.
I think something tall, like it's not gonna block any view. It's on the side of the
Yeah,
building.
not
Like,
to
There's there's no windows. It's the back of a closet. Like we could basically require some large plantings along this side right here.
yeah. It's almost
Not to
like-
be taller than the height of the building.
Are you talking about adjacent to the building itself, right? On the
Yeah.
opposite side of the walkway?
This
Okay,
this one right here,
yeah,
bring it so it,
all right. And what page are we on here?
I don't even
On
know.
A03? Okay,
It's on sheet A 2.1. A 2.1 is an architectural drawing, but I would
there's a landscape plan on AO.3.
A 0.3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been an L if it's.
Yeah.
There, yeah, it
Plan.
usually is, but it's AO.3. And so
Okay.
I'm looking at that side. And when I look at that side, I see there's trees along the property line, but not on the side closest to the mast. Doesn't look like that much room, but I'm sure we could figure something out in there.
There's an existing Laurepotium hedge that's at 6 feet at the tallest height,
Scratch
Uh-huh.
this area.
and then a kuba shrub there.
Right.
I thought we already had plantings here.
And there's some
Sure.
viney sort of planting material,
There's some planting there, but I thought
Okay.
something called
but they are getting rid of the existing 18-inch Piptosporum. 'Cause
Are- Sorry, to drag this on, but are there any WUI concerns and or limitations on this parcel in terms of planting, proximity to the house? And are they allowed to plant vines that run on the siding?
there's a 10-foot, there's usually like a
Yeah,
10-foot, but it's not trees, it's limbs, isn't it?
If you want to look at sheet A 0.4,
Hmm. It's been reviewed, I'm sure, by the fire.
Yeah, that's something you can't replant something. I mean, it says on the plans that the pittosporum is being removed for WUI.
It's a 5-inch, 5-foot clear to the sidewall, so we can't really touch that area because of WUI laws, but then 10-foot clear above roof. So you don't
mean,
have the limbs like,
Can I just ask real quick? Do we all agree? And maybe we don't. I'm just because I would like to know. Do we all agree that that elevation has to be softened at the adding of that now enclosing the deck and having those just walls are a concern?
I mean, I think it would help. I would like the the rendering of like, boom, here's what it's gonna look like now. It was like a pretty solid wall right there in the
Right.
corner. Like,
I mean,
And
Give-
you want to soften that with plants in front of you. You're not asking for any structural changes and you're not asking for, and you're accepting all the variances.
I'm asking if it makes sense. Look, the concerns from 16, there's two concerns, and we've expressed our opinion on both of them. I don't know if we're in a position to make conditional on trying to soften. We all feel pretty strongly on the softening part, that maybe we continue this and let them discuss the two issues and see if they can come up with either an agreement, hopefully, or at least the architect will come back with a proposal on softening that elevation.
Would you feel comfortable with that guidance, or would you think that we would have to provide additional guidance to come back? Because it's
Well,
It's time.
yeah, I guess my thing.
you
is
asked
if-
me-
Well, you know, so I think that just providing some guidance, if we think that there's an architectural change made, then we should continue it. If it's something that we think can be solved with plantings, then I think that we should add a condition of approval and be very specific about exactly what type of plantings, what
Right.
size boxes and stuff like that, that it should have. So I guess the question then just becomes like, is it both for you, or is it just one or the other?
it's not architectural, it's planting. I
Okay.
think they've already softened it by doing bump outs, like they've.
And so for you?
I think it could be either. I don't have a strong opinion that it has to be one or the other, but.
Yeah, because I think I hear everyone saying what I just said earlier, that you've accepted the variances and you're not asking for a structural change.
I worry in our ability to give a condition, given the WUI concerns, given the actual room that they have between the two properties is all what I'm calling out. Do we feel comfortable making a condition on that? If the board has a majority feels that they feel comfortable in their guidance to solve this, then can get on board.
Yeah, I mean, staff regularly is able to work with this as long as we are specific about like what type of height, like, you know, we've in the past said, okay, look, we want to see at least like two, 24-inch box, plantings like on this side between here and here. And then we leave it up to the applicant to choose what that grows to at least, halfway up the house or halfway up the elevation. And then we leave it to the applicant to make the choices on what those would be, and then staff to approve to make sure that it's like kind of
I mean, the
line.
performance that we want is to break up that massing, right? To conceal it and to soften it. That's the performance standard. And then what we say is we think it could be achieved with 2 plants or 1 tree or something that meets WUI and fire code, but also meets the performance standard of softening that edge, that wall.
Okay.
What do you think? I don't know.
My one question, Dina, do we have the ability to condition like add this tree, or if the two adjoining, I've seen this before, the 2 properties can come up in agreement and have a written agreement.
We don't ever want to like condition something
It's-
that's a
it's
written
in- it's
agreement
in-
between, what's that?
Yeah, we
yeah.
generally try not to do that because it can be something that's never resolved.
Or,
So
but it's in
the
the law.
preference is that you provide us with the number that you wish, what the intent is, and then that would be what we would move forward with.
So there's 2 existing hedges, or 1 existing hedge at 6 feet. I'm not sure about number 9. There's this one that's gonna grow to 8 to 10 feet in mature height. So this is about 8 to 10 feet. This is 6 feet. According to that WUI thing, we have to have 5 foot clear from the building. So I'm not sure what else we could add. Unless there's a removal of the Cuba shrub. I don't have no idea what this Cuba shrub is.
And why do we think this is not adequate?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the question is like, do we?
Because I don't see that. I know I saw the photograph of what it should look like, and it is rather massive, but when you look at the foliage recommendations or plans, they look adequate. Am I
Because I
missing
think they're all
something?
pretty short, right?
6 foot, this one, that one's 6 foot, the other one's, the existing is 6 foot shrub. The proposed tree matures to 8 to 10 feet. So we can specify that they get a more mature tree there.
Sure.
Instead of getting like a really, like
8 to 10 feet, that's pretty.
at maturity.
That's still short compared to this.
Yeah.
Because it's a 2-story structure at that point.
Yeah.
10 foot. It's halfway up the wall.
Just in the spirit of moving us along,
Yeah.
if there was a motion that required, say, 2 plantings of trees that at maturity would grow, like, we probably need to specify like a box size or something like that, like,
It's 20 feet.
that's
That's
that what's it, 20 feet at that point?
elevation is 20
Elevation.
feet.
So something that would grow to no less than 15 feet.
That blocks their view.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that, but like to 15 feet at maturity.
Yeah, but there's a
Yeah, but if you stick it here, then it's gonna get, it's adding, blocking even more.
just, we basically want, you want the pit the same size as the current pittosporum. which is
Some,
15 feet, maybe
a
12.
tree that, that conceals that part of the building without disrupting the view corridor.
Well, I think we just need to be specific about like the maturity height.
15 to 20 feet at maturity, right?
Yeah.
Sure. And
And
what do you guys think about the other corner, about the height of the living room? Just,
I'm okay with it. Like, again, these are not tall ceilings. I know Alex is, we often come on different sides of this one, but yeah. I don't think a 10-foot ceiling is, below a 10-foot ceiling is obnoxiously high ceiling in this day and age.
10 foot 10 though.
Yeah.
Wait, is it 10 foot 10 internal? Such a modest.
Yeah. It's. I'm on your side on this.
Okay, so
Is the condition that the applicant shall plant trees that are no less than 15 feet at maturity? Is that the beginning of the condition that we're workshopping right now?
Yeah, 15 feet, and that it's not like a little tree, but a semi-mature tree.
yeah, I mean, we don't want
Okay.
them to plant.
24
Right.
What's that? I mean, 24-inch box is like a large, it's going in large, which is, I'm kind of okay with. It's like, I don't want it to be like planting a little sapling and,
Yeah.
20 years later, it's.
You're saying you
finally
want them
getting-
to add 2 more trees to their current proposal?
Yeah, I think.
To mature trees, not just baby trees that are going to grow to 15 feet,
And you want
correct?
to take it to a minimum of half the height of the building? Or do you want to
I
pick?
think it
a-
was like 2 24-inch box trees that don't.
Dina, like none of us are landscape architects here, so like, what is it, what is for, based on what we're describing, knowing that we want to get a tree that's got some maturity to begin with, like what size would we recommend?
24.
24-inch, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, the height from,
It's a tight space over there too,
it's
remember?
really tight.
It's really tight. So I don't think it can take more than a 24 at best.
Yeah, and 20 feet is at the very top of the roof line there from the ground level, and it actually slopes up. So it goes from like 20 probably to 18 to 17. So like in that area, unfortunately. It's 20 feet here. That's 20. Okay.
Yeah, so I think does anybody want to go for a motion? Want everybody to speak at once?
There's a draft resolution.
Yeah, there's a draft
So I'll
resolution in there.
Make a motion to adopt the draft resolution with a condition that two 24-inch box evergreen trees that reach
Maximum.
maximum 20 feet at maturity
Yeah.
are installed around near the existing pittosporum that's being removed within the WUI standards. Is that
To conceal or
To-
to soften this
to-
building.
to soften the north elevation?
Yeah.
The north elevation.
Yeah. Proposed new elevation there.
And the project.
And
category-
it's projects categorically exempt from CEQA.
And do we have a second?
We have nothing we want to put in about the roof of the living room.
Can one of you
We gotta-
repeat
That
that?
was,
I just,
yeah, I think we.
Second.
Yeah, yeah, second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, I would say, do you want to add the?
I had already asked for a second.
Okay,
Okay.
All in,
So let me do the, so we had a motion, we had a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None. All right. With
So
that.
Miss passage with the conditions.
With that, we adopt the draft resolution and we move on to the third item on this evening's agenda. 106 Lyford Drive has been removed.
Yes.
And we now move to the switched order. So we're at 675 Hawthorne Drive. If the applicant could come forward, please. Oh, there we go.
So this will be the last one of the evening?
This is the last one for me. I gotta take off.
Yeah,
because
but it is the last one, right? Because they took the other one off, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
You were the landscape architect that presented.
Yeah,
Lyford.
the fence.
Okay.
I have to recuse myself for that.
Oh, I see.
Oh, sorry. I ate dinner.
It's a minute.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Yeah.
I know, I hate the building. Give me just one moment.
Yeah, no problem. Good. Okay, thank you. Good evening, Design Review Board members. I'm Alex. I'm a landscape designer at Integrated Design Studio in Mill Valley. I'm presenting a lot coverage variance for a backyard deck addition on behalf of homeowners of 675 Hawthorne Drive. John Malloy is the homeowner and he is present here this evening. We're going to start with an aerial view of the property. As context shown on the slide is an aerial view of 675 Hawthorne Drive. As you can see, the bay lies southwest of the property and we have Tiburon Boulevard that runs just right below Hawthorne Drive. On the right, we have a closer view of 675 Hawthorne Drive, and you can see starting at their property, the street starts to slope up significantly. Yes. And as mentioned before, we're here requesting for a variance backyard deck addition exceeding lot coverage limits. We have a photo here of the existing site conditions. The requesting lot coverage is 30.8%, where 30% is the maximum allowed. We're requesting this lot coverage due to the site's steep topography and having access, limited access from the kitchen. More on existing project conditions. The property is situated on a steeply sloped lot with an average grade of 25% and an 18-foot elevation change from the northern to southern boundary. And the lot also slopes steeply from east to west. This challenging terrain restricts safe and direct access from the home to the backyard and impacts the functionality and usability of the outdoor space. Here we have the site survey and existing conditions. We have a street view and you can start to see the slope. We have on the top right is the existing view looking north from the side yard, and you can see the high retaining walls that are present there. And they, as you walk up them, when you visited, they are very difficult to walk up those steps. And at the bottom, we have a view looking southwest towards the house, and you can see that those big retaining walls as well. And the bottom photo on the right is the access to their kitchen. And there is a small deck that is raised up above grade by a couple feet. And the deck stops right directly at their door.
Here we have the proposed site plan with those existing photos to the right. We are proposing bringing this deck over to the east side of their property. It's actually going to be lowered by 1.5 feet. And we have steps coming off from their kitchen and just making the space more usable and easy for them to access in and out for egress. We have proposed and existing site elevations. This is looking west. You can see from the section that we are lowering again the deck by 1.5 feet. We're showing the minimal impact with the site materials that are blending in with the house. We're proposing siding that is in relation to the existing shingles that they have, guardrail that is going to match their existing guardrail, and colors that blend in with the surrounding neighborhood. Here's another section elevation looking east. And this is where you can see that drop of the deck going 1.5 feet down. We're just making this very usable for them to exit their kitchen. And we have a view looking south, and then you can see here the minimal impact of this deck. And we're going to be a part of a separate submittal, having planting on the east side of the property with their neighbors. We will be proposing English laurels for increased privacy for both them and the neighbors. And there's also existing trees on the property that we are leaving in place for that added privacy as well. And we have another section elevation looking south, and this is a cut through showing you how the deck relates to the topography. Right now, as you can see, the deck on the bottom and those retaining walls that are just steep on the property. Our proposed deck, the height elevation will be it's at the highest 6 feet 8 inches. And when you're standing at the proposed patio space, it will be 8 feet in height. And our justification for the variance is there's a steep slope that's on the property that prevents significant challenges for functional outdoor use. Without the variance, the property would remain difficult to use safely, as the steep grade directly off the kitchen makes access to the yard challenging. The proposed 0.8 increase in lot coverage would allow a modest deck expansion that improves usability while remaining in harmony with the surrounding neighborhood. We don't need to go to the appendix, but as also, we have positive feedback from all the neighbors, the surrounding neighbors.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Is the space underneath now, because it looks like it's a raised deck, so basically it's a rain screen that's kind of like a functions roof. Is that considered? It's not conditioned space, so it's just like a shed.
No, it will not be waterproof.
So it'll
Yeah.
just be shed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a shed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Any other questions? Nope. All right. With that, we will open it up to the public. If anybody is here to comment on this project. All right. We'll go to the Zoom call. If you are on the Zoom bridge and have any comment, please use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom screen.
Chair Chong, there are no comments from the Zoom audience.
All right. You technically have 5 additional minutes if you have anything that you'd like to add.
Nothing
Nope.
to add.
All right.
Yeah.
With that, we'll close the public portion of the public portion of the meeting and bring it back to the board. I'm happy to lead us off. I rarely get to do it. So I had a chance to go out yesterday to see the site, and it seems like a very smart way to pick up more yard space, locate the deck in a better spot, take advantage of essentially what is just a hill. And then the variance is a very easy findings for me, just because the nature of the slope in the back, like, just kind of creates this additional lot coverage that's going to be needed. So a pretty easy one for me. Support.
Yeah, I was able to visit today and take a look. I agree 100%. It's a very smart choice and can make the findings for the variance.
I saw it today too and I tripped. So I think it's a great idea. Make that into a usable space.
Same and well supported by the neighbors, so there are no negative comments.
All right. Any motion then, please?
Like to make a motion to adopt the resolution
Draft
and
resolution.
adopt the draft resolution, including the variance. The findings for the variance, sorry.
Findings
and
for
it's
the variance.
completely exempt from
Let's see,
CEQA.
Yes,
And
thank
do we
you.
have a second?
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. And with that, well, it passes. Thanks. And we move on to the next item on this evening agenda, which I will need to recuse myself due to my home being within the 500-foot radius of downtown Tiburon. It's supposed, yeah, I think I'm just barely clipping the edge of the property. So with that, I will recuse myself and leave the rest of the meeting in the capable hands of.
Before you leave, Chair, we did make a motion for continuance on Lyford, correct? We need to do that
Okay.
before we
Wait,
close
sorry.
this.
So I didn't have it in my notes. I just want to make sure.
Just move.
I know
Yeah,
you,
we just kind of
Just move to
I think
continue.
everybody
to the
knew.
next
So
hearing.
yeah, so
you have to make a motion to move to a date and to move 106 Lyford per the request of the applicant to a date uncertain.
all right, so for PH3, which we skipped over and will now readdress for 106 Lyford Drive, the applicant has requested a continuance, and we would be looking for a motion to continue it to a date uncertain. Do we have a motion for that?
Go for it. I move to make a motion to continue the
106 Lyford. 106.
106 Lyford PH number 3 to a date uncertain.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none.
Thank you.
And with that, we can continue
Clean-
that application. And now I will recuse myself officially.
So will the applicant for 1647 and 1651 Tiburon Boulevard? Oh, I was just asking them to come up to the
Getting them ready.
podium.
That's the dog.
You'll have 20 minutes once.
I always get yelled at jumping the gun whenever Phoebe has to recuse herself.
You'll have 20 minutes once Chair Chong leaves the room.
Do you have a presentation, sir, that you'd like to provide to us? You actually need to come to the mic. Thank you.
I just came to answer any questions that were for the
Yeah.
work.
Okay. Do you want to just state your name for the record? And
I'm Steve Vettis. I'm the maintenance director for the homeowners association, representing the HOA.
okay. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
I did. I understand this is the homeowners that want it, not the hotel. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
And you're matching what is existing there already and just continuing it down the area that doesn't have the additional height?
Yeah,
correct?
what happened was 3 years ago, 22, we lost that part of the fence, which was the same as the rest of the fence. So we lost about 50% of the fence. The original fence that was there was the 10-foot covered with ivy, and it was all the way down to the fire department. The fire department is a little bit lower, but not much. So it was damaged in the storm, and it's just been replaced. But they couldn't find any variances for the 10-foot fence that was there originally, so they put up the 6-foot fence, which they could get a permit for. And now we're looking for the variance to put up the 10-foot fence for the privacy and the sound barrier, so it's what was there before, but there was no variance. We assumed there was a variance because the whole fence was above 6 feet, so.
And
It's
and you just want to match what's currently there, is that correct?
Yeah, the only thing that will be different is the old fence was covered in vine, so we'll attempt to grow some vine up to make it similar to everything else, yeah.
Wait, so you will put a vine on it or no?
Well, possibly not. It depends about the 5 foot rule, you know, with the fire department right now.
Yeah, I
it-
would.
It may be something different, you know.
Anyway.
But the main thing right now is for the privacy and the sound, you know, they look into each other's bedrooms. Right now.
Any other questions?
No, I just was curious if they were going to update the design or if you're just continuing on what's already there.
It's similar, you know, just.
Okay.
Thanks very much. You can sit down. If there's anyone on the Zoom with public comment, we'll open it.
There are no public comments.
Okay, thank you. The applicant has 5 minutes to address any comments, but you may wish to yield your time.
Okay, we good?
We'll close public comment right now and we'll bring it back to the board. Anyone want to start?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the variance because I make the findings for a like-to-like fence. I can make the variance for the code requiring a 6-foot max height, so I can make the findings and it's categorically adopt the resolution as drafted and it's categorically exempt from CEQA.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unopposed? The motion passes and we're adjourned. Thank you.
Wait, you're good. Sorry.
Yeah.
For 2 minutes. For 2 minutes of pain.